Hello friends! Welcome to another episode of Car Chats with Anjelica. I'm your host, Anjelica. Today I will be joined by this refreshing, sparkling beverage, not sponsored, because today's story is quite alarming, and I need to stay refreshed if I am to recount to you the drama contained in this tale. So let's start at the beginning. I'm not a DC native, I'm new to the area, and since I've moved here, I've really made an effort to try to find special places throughout the city, in the DMV as the locals would call it, the DC, Maryland, Virginia area, to relax, recreate, and unfortunately for me, study for the CPA exam. And among one of these places is a very special museum in DC that also contains a rather expansive outdoor garden area. For legal purposes that will soon become known to you, I will not be saying the name of this, but let's just call it the garden or the museum. So one day, a few months ago, I decided to go. The weather was beautiful, and I decided that I was going to go sit outside and study. And that's what I did. I did not expect for anything bad to happen to me that day, and right up until the very end, nothing did. So I had been sitting outside for a couple hours, just relaxing, enjoying the beautiful greenscape, and studying depreciation of all things. And then I noticed that it was starting to get dark, and I was like, you know what? It's probably about time to head out. So I gathered my things, I got up to go, and I started walking around the garden toward the exit, and I noticed that there was no one else there. This was very different from how it was when I arrived, when there were quite a few people there, but I thought, no big deal. So I went to the exit, and much to my shock and dismay, it was closed and locked. Okay, the gate wasn't just like swung closed, it was closed and locked. But I didn't panic, because through my many visits to this place, I've noticed that there are quite a few entrances. There are many ways that you can get in here, so I'm like, I'm not even worried. I can definitely just go out a different door. Because surely no one would have just locked someone in here for the night. So I then go to every single door, entrance, pathway, into this garden. I go to every single one, and every one of them is closed and then chained and locked. Okay? I just want to say, what security guard just blindly closes all entrances without making sure that, like, everyone is out of the garden, okay? I don't know, like, if the security guard, like, maybe it was, like, his kid's birthday. Maybe his program was coming on in 15 minutes and he had to just scurry home. I don't know what happened, but for whatever reason, on that day, someone did not make a security round in this place to make sure that everyone was out of it. They were just like, it's closing time, y'all. Peace out. So here I am. I'm concerned. I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm usually pretty cool-headed, but nothing like this has really ever happened to me. So I am now locked in a museum's garden in DC. So I'm like, you know what? I am a smart, educated woman. I can find a way out of this. So I start looking to see if, like, maybe I could go over the gate. Maybe I can just go over the fence, right? That's an option. I have to say, while all of this is happening, my fear wasn't that I was alone in the garden. My fear was that I wasn't, okay? Because while I wasn't trying to spend the night locked in a DC garden, what is an even scarier thought than that is spending the night with company in a DC garden. So I was concerned about safety. I was also concerned about being in trouble, because what's going to happen when these museum people come in the morning and, much to their surprise, I am still there, or I'm just found lying on a park bench, dead? I'm very concerned. So I'm like, maybe I can go over the fence, right? So I go up to the fence, and this is a pretty ornate, like, fancy place. So I was concerned when I was approaching the fence. I'm like, are there gonna be spikes? Because you know those fancy gates, a lot of them have those spikes on there that are just waiting to jab you. Thankfully, this fence did not. However, there was only one horizontal bar on this fence, okay? So there was not like a lot of rungs to choose from which I could take my flight over the fence, okay? I had all but one choice. But to me, I'm like, this is perfect, this is amazing. I'll just climb up on this bar, swing my leg over the fence, fling my belongings onto the ground, then fling myself onto the ground to safety. That did not work, however, because the height of this bar, this fence, mind you, is like 7 feet tall. The height of this bar is just low enough that if I were to climb up on it and try to swing my leg over the fence, it's just not quite getting there. I can't get my leg over. So I'm like, one of two things is going to need to happen. I'm going to need to grow 4 inches, or I'm going to need to figure out something different. And you might be asking yourself, Anjelica, did you not have a phone? Did you not think that you could reach out to someone for help? Yes, I did have a phone. However, as I had been using that phone to study for hours, it now had 2%. So I realized that I had to hold on to my one phone call. This is like your one prison phone call. You don't waste that phone call. So I knew that I had to exhaust every single plan of escape that I could come up with before I used that 2%. Because I'm like, I either gotta phone a friend or I'm gonna have to call the police on myself, okay? So, I'm looking around. There are many things that I could stand on in this garden. However, most of them are like several 100-pound planters, like absolutely massive, tall planters that I would never be able to move. So again, panic is setting in. But then I look around, and surrounded by a beacon of light is a disgusting janitorial trash can. Be still, my heart. This trash can contained a heaping, overflowing load of discarded plant parts, leaves, just gross plant bits, okay? I've never been so excited to see an overflowing trash can in my entire life. So, without thinking, at this point, we're beyond the point of being considerate. We're beyond the point of regular, normal thought. I grab this trash can, I flip it upside down, and I shake all of their plant trash into their flower garden. I'm so sorry. And I flip it over, I climb up onto the trash can, I throw my stuff over the fence, and I leap over to safety on the other side. It's worth mentioning that after my joyous and triumphant escape, I did start to hear some sirens coming in my direction, and there had been some people kind of lurking across the street. I don't know how much of this they saw. I don't know if they thought I was the criminal here, which I wouldn't blame them. I just don't know what was going through their mind. So maybe they called the police on me. I wouldn't blame them if they did. But there were definitely sirens coming in my direction, and I did fear that after all of this turmoil, that I would still be arrested. Thankfully, I just walked away. I pretended like I just didn't know about any crime. I've not heard of any breaking and entering. I've not heard of any trespassing. What? Who? Me? No. I don't know nothing about that. So I just walked away peacefully into the sunset. Thank God. And that was the night that I almost spent the night in a DC museum garden. Moral of the story, kids. Gosh, what is the moral here? I think the moral is perhaps know the closing hours of any establishment that you're patronizing, and just be aware that there might not be a security check. No one will come to get you and tell you, ma'am, it's time to leave. They'll just lock you in there. So perhaps know the opening and closing hours of anywhere that you want to go so that you cannot spend the night in a DC garden. That's all for now, folks. Thank you for tuning in. Bye.